Hey y'all, it's Caitlin. Now, before I get started, let me just go ahead and say I'm someone who, if I see an age restriction on something like a movie or a video game, I'm like, it says like 14 up, I'm like, a 12-year-old can play that. Even an 11-year-old can play that, and they won't get like traumatized like some stupid idiots who write fake psychological reports would want you to believe. It doesn't happen like that, trust me. But I think, a 12-year-old can, play that and not get scarred for life and have a fun time playing it, and nothing bad will happen from it. And I'm like that with everything, including comic books. Like, there are some comics that I would say you do need to be 14 to read them. But most of the time, I'm like, a preteen can read those things, no problem. This particular comic book, I will say you have to be at least 18 plus to read it. So there is cussing, there is nudity, and this is the least that's in this book. So if you guys are not fans of psychological horror or any type of horror stuff, you might as well just click out the video now, because there is a lot of triggers in this series for a lot of people. I know my ex couldn't read it when we were together, and that's nothing to be ashamed of, but it is something to be aware of. So if you guys have any kind of bad triggers when it comes to blood, violence, anything like that, and again, if you're someone who's against reading something with like nudity or cussing in it, again, if you're bad about cussing, you shouldn't be watching my video anyway. But just go ahead and click out and don't worry about it. I promise I won't be offended. But anyway, so this is Clean Room, written by Gail Simone. And I think it was actually someone else. I can't remember. It doesn't have the names on here, but you can actually, on the very first cover it says suggested for mature readers. So this was actually produced by Vertigo. Vertigo is owned by DC Comics. It's where DC puts all their more risque comic books, let me put it that way. Not necessarily, porn or anything, but just stuff that are a little bit messed up and definitely not meant for teenagers or kids. So, oh wait, yeah, there it is. So, Simone and Davis Hunt, so whoever that guy is. I honestly don't remember. I just remember Gail Simone's. I know that's horrible, but it's true. But, so this began, it says December 15. I think it was actually 2016 when this thing first started. And it went for about 18 issues. And this is classified as a psychological horror story. So it's not a horror that will necessarily scare you. It is a horror that will linger with you. Like, you'll feel like chills going up your spine. And you'll have, like, when really messed up stuff happens, you'll be, like, grinning from ear to ear and be like, I think I might be partial a psychopath. Or at least that's what happened with me. So, issue 10, Gail Simone put out there that, I know I'm kind of jumping ahead. Gail Simone put out there that after she finished writing issue 10, she actually had nightmares, and after reading it, I could understand why. I didn't have nightmares or anything, but I was grinning like the Joker, and for like a couple hours after I finished reading that, I just was feeling like that the entire night. But, so, Clean Room, again, psychological horror. So, the story begins, I'm just going to go with the two main characters here. There's definitely some other characters in this book, and tell you the main gist of it. And then I might go over just a couple instances in the book that aren't necessarily spoilers, I feel like, just so you know what you're getting into. Or maybe I'll just list the kind of stuff that happens, either one. So, it starts out with a young woman named Chloe, who recently lost her fiancé to suicide. And Chloe found out that her boyfriend, I think it was like just a couple weeks or maybe a month or so before committing suicide, he joined this self-help group run by a woman named Astrid Mueller. And it turns out it's more of a cult kind of culture. And Gail Simone actually researched culture from people who used to be part of them before she started writing this book, just to make it accurate. So again, that's another trigger for people to be aware of. But basically, Astrid has this multi-million-dollar company, and she's projected herself as someone who is a self-help guru. But what she has instead she has a power or an ability that allows her to see who people really are. So she's actually concocted this place called the Clean Room, and it's this bright white room that once inside of it, people see their worst fears come to life. And it gets pretty out there. It really does get really out there. But the reason that she made it was to pretty much combat something in the world. So Chloe's going there to kind of expose Astrid. Astrid, of course, is fighting back. And she shows Chloe the clean room and the consequences of going into the clean room. And through the whole process of Chloe's a reporter, by the way. Chloe trying to figure out what's happening there, and Astrid trying to, at first, block her from going in, but then eventually actually trying to get Chloe to come on as an accomplice, I guess you could say. They kind of find out that they're sort of on the same team. I'm just going to say it like that for now. Because they realize there's a greater evil in the world. There are these alien-like beings that are taking over people and possessing them and making them do very, very evil, very, very bad things. And some of them are being possessed, some of them are being more like blackmailed by these beings, and some people are just doing it to go along with these beings just because they want to. So, for example, there are little children who are being possessed by these and made to do very evil things like murder their own parents. There's just a lot of bad crap in here. I tried not to research it too much, honestly, because I kind of want to go back and reread it myself. And I just didn't have the time. I wanted to before doing this, but I just didn't have the time. But just briefly listing the stuff that they bring up in here. There's not any pedophilia like actually in the book, but they bring up the topic. There's obviously murder, body mutilation, severe injuries, again, nudity and all that. Pretty much what you would consider forced prostitution is in this book. Again, child murderers, and child murderer both. And it's just a big, long list of just crazy stuff that happens in this book. Also, there's a group of rednecks. Just randomly, there's a group of rednecks that hang around Chloe and protect her like she's her little sister, which I think is actually really awesome. Considering I'm a redneck myself, I think that's kind of cool. But, so, again, this is not a book for kids. It's not, I would even say, a book for teenagers. But it is a book if you want to just, I wouldn't necessarily say suspense. And it's not something that's going to, like, give you a heart attack or anything, but it's going to be something that makes you feel creepy and kind of uncomfortable. And some people really like it. I know I do. I love psychological horror. I don't like horror. I like psychological horror, and I know that's weird. But I really love it. But, anyway, a little bit more about the plot. It does come to pass what Astrid's true motives are when it comes to these beings. And eventually they do, I'm going to go ahead and say it, they do find a place where they're on equal ground, along with the other people who work for Astrid. They all kind of form a group to try and combat these evil, wicked, demon-like creatures. And they do it in very interesting and unusual ways, a lot of them. So I think this is an amazing story to read, honestly. I know I didn't really say too much about it because, again, I didn't research it the way I usually do before this stuff, because I honestly really want to reread it during Halloween. But I would highly recommend it. Even though I like this kind of stuff, I don't go for it too often because I spend most of my money on, like, Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn. But this is something I definitely want you guys to check out if you're into this stuff. Again, a lot of triggers in this one, and that is one thing that I wish people would not feel ashamed of if you have a trigger that goes along with something that I just mentioned. So don't feel ashamed of it if you feel like you can't read it. But if you're someone who can, please, I implore you to check this out, because it'll leave you feeling so creeped out by the end of it. And it's only 18 books long. It's not going to take you that long. But this is really cool. So I will leave the Amazon link for the trade order. I implore you guys to go check out your comic book stores, though, to see if they can order it for you if you can. But I will go ahead and leave the Amazon if you want to go that route instead. But please support your local comic book shops, because they really need some support. But anyway, I know, again, I'm sorry if it was a little bit choppy this month, but I already filmed like 4 videos and my voice is going out anyway. But I hope you guys will check out this comic. The cover, the first cover really doesn't do us justice, honestly. I think this was a really bad cover choice for the very first issue. But yeah, so don't go by the cover. There was a lot better covers later on in the series, but that's number 1. But anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this, and again, if you want to feel creeped out, go check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, like always, it's community, not competition, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.